For years on the show, we talked about everything from relationships to careers to finding your spiritual path. But one thing we didn't shy away from was the truth about women and their experiences. And one of those truths, a truth that often gets swept under the rug, is the truth about women, aging, and yes, sexuality. We're taught to believe that youth is everything, that aging somehow diminishes our worth, especially as women. But that's simply not true. We're living longer, healthier lives, and that includes our sexuality. So today, we're going to have a real conversation about what older women want you to know about their sexuality. It's time to break down the barriers, to shatter the stereotypes, and to embrace the beauty of aging gracefully, passionately, and yes, sexually. I remember once having a guest on the show, a woman in her late 60s, vibrant, full of life, and brimming with energy. She shared a perspective that has stayed with me ever since. She said, "Oprah, desire doesn't have an expiration date." It was a powerful statement. And you know what? She was absolutely right. Desire is timeless. Just because the calendar pages turn doesn't mean our desires magically disappear. They evolve, they deepen. Our bodies may change, yes, but our capacity for intimacy, for pleasure, for connection, that remains. It grows with us. In fact, many women find that as they age, they feel even more comfortable in their own skin. They embrace their true selves. They've shed the insecurities of youth, they're more confident, more self-assured, and that translates into a deeper, more fulfilling sexuality. It's a beautiful transformation. They're not afraid to ask for what they need, to express their desires, and to embrace the beauty of their bodies at every age. They own their desires. It's about owning your sensuality, celebrating your body, and understanding that pleasure is a birthright, not a privilege reserved for the young. It's a universal truth. We need to shift the narrative to move away from this idea that aging is about decline and instead embrace it as a journey of discovery, of self-acceptance, and yes, of continued sexual exploration. It's a new chapter. It's about time we stop putting limitations on ourselves, on what we can feel, what we can experience, simply because of a number. Age is just a number. Our age doesn't define us, and it certainly doesn't define our capacity for pleasure and intimacy. We are limitless. So let's release those outdated notions and embrace the truth that we are ageless in our desires. Women, in all their wisdom, in all their beauty, in all their years, are sexual beings. This is a fact, and that's something to celebrate. Let's honor it, let's live it, and let's celebrate it every day. One of the most important things I've learned over the years, not just from the experts, but from everyday women, is that communication is the foundation of any strong relationship, whether it's with friends, family, or romantic partners. And that includes our intimate relationships. As we age, as our bodies change, and as our needs evolve, that communication becomes even more crucial. It's not just about talking, but truly listening and understanding each other. It's about being honest with ourselves about what feels good, what we enjoy, and what we might need a little help with. Self-reflection is key here, as it allows us to understand our own desires and boundaries. And it's about being open and honest with our partners, creating a safe space for vulnerability, for sharing our desires, our fears, and our fantasies. This openness fosters a deeper connection and trust. It's not always easy, I know. We're taught to be polite, to not rock the boat, but when it comes to our bodies, our pleasure, we need to find our voices. It's about advocating for our own happiness and well-being. Tell your partner what feels good, what doesn't feel good, and don't be afraid to explore new things together. This exploration can bring a sense of adventure and novelty to your relationship. Maybe there are things you enjoyed in your younger years that you're curious about revisiting, or perhaps there are new experiences you've always wanted to try. Or maybe there are new avenues you'd like to explore. The possibilities are endless when you approach them with an open heart and mind. The key is to approach it with curiosity, with an open mind, and with a willingness to communicate every step of the way. This journey of discovery can be incredibly rewarding. Remember, intimacy thrives on connection, and connection is built on trust and open communication. It's the glue that holds relationships together. Don't be afraid to initiate conversations about sex and intimacy. These discussions can lead to a deeper understanding and a more fulfilling relationship. Share your needs, your desires, and be open to hearing your partners as well. This mutual exchange is what strengthens the bond between you. It's about finding that balance, that beautiful dance between giving and receiving. And that only happens when we're willing to speak our truths. Embrace the journey together and let communication be your guide. Oh, the myths we tell ourselves, the stories we buy into. They shape our perceptions and influence our lives in ways we often don't even realize. And nowhere is this more prevalent than when it comes to aging and sexuality. These myths can be particularly damaging, creating unnecessary barriers and limiting our potential for joy. We're bombarded with images of youth, with this idea that once we hit a certain age, we're somehow past our prime. This constant exposure can make us internalize these falsehoods. But let me tell you, those are just stories, and they're not our stories to own. We have the power to reject these narratives and create our own. It's time to rewrite the narrative, to challenge those outdated beliefs, and to embrace the truth about aging and sexuality. We can redefine what it means to age gracefully and vibrantly. One of the biggest myths out there is that menopause signals the end of desire, that once our hormones shift, so too does our libido. This misconception can lead to unnecessary anxiety and self-doubt. But that's simply not true. Menopause is just another phase of life, not the end of it. Yes, our bodies change, but our capacity for pleasure, for intimacy, that remains. In fact, it can even deepen as we grow older and more in tune with ourselves. Another myth is that older women aren't interested in sex, that they're content with companionship, and that the spark has faded. This stereotype couldn't be further from the truth. But the truth is, many women find that as they age, their sex lives actually improve. They discover new dimensions of intimacy and connection. They're more comfortable in their own skin, they're more confident, and they're not afraid to ask for what they want. This self-assuredness can lead to more fulfilling relationships. And let's not forget the myth that older women are invisible, that they're no longer desirable. This harmful belief can erode self-esteem and diminish one's sense of worth. This is simply not true. Older women possess a unique beauty that transcends age. Beauty comes in all ages, and the confidence, the wisdom, the life experience that older women possess is incredibly attractive. These qualities make them stand out in a crowd. It's time to celebrate the beauty of aging, to embrace the changes that come with time, and to redefine what it means to be a vibrant sexual woman at every age. Let's honor our journey and the richness it brings to our lives. You know, one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves at any age, but especially as we get older, is the gift of self-discovery. It's about taking the time to really get to know ourselves, to explore our bodies, our desires, our boundaries, and to embrace every part of who we are. This might look like setting aside some time for self-pleasure, for exploring your body in a safe and loving way. It might mean trying new things, experimenting with different sensations, and discovering what brings you joy. It's also about paying attention to your body, noticing how it responds to touch, to different stimuli, and honoring those responses. What felt good in your younger years might feel different now, and that's okay. Our bodies are constantly evolving, and it's up to us to listen to them, to honor their wisdom, and to adjust our approach accordingly. Self-discovery is an ongoing journey, and it's one that can be incredibly empowering. The more we understand ourselves, the more confident we become in expressing our needs and desires to others. And remember, there's no right or wrong way to explore your sexuality. It's about finding what feels good for you, what brings you joy, and what helps you feel more connected to yourself and your body. You know, one of the things I'm most passionate about is creating a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued, regardless of their age, their background, or their sexual orientation. And that includes older women, who are often marginalized and stereotyped when it comes to their sexuality. We need to create a more inclusive and accepting society, one where women of all ages feel comfortable embracing their sexuality without shame or judgment. This means challenging ageism, sexism, and all forms of discrimination that seek to limit women's experiences and expressions of themselves. It means creating spaces where women can talk openly about their bodies, their desires, and their challenges without fear of being dismissed or ridiculed. It also means supporting each other, celebrating our differences, and recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to sexuality. What works for one woman might not work for another, and that's perfectly okay. The important thing is that we create a culture of respect, where everyone feels safe to explore their sexuality on their own terms. We need to break down the barriers that prevent older women from accessing accurate information about sex and intimacy. We need to provide more resources, more support groups, and more open dialogues about these important topics. And most importantly, we need to listen to older women, to amplify their voices, and to create a world where they feel empowered to embrace their sexuality with confidence and joy. You know, as I reflect on all that we've discussed today, one thing is clear. Aging is not the end. It's a beginning. It's a new chapter, filled with possibilities for growth, for exploration, and for deep, meaningful connection, both with ourselves and with others. Let's embrace the beauty of aging gracefully, passionately, and yes, sexually. Let's rewrite the narrative, challenge the stereotypes, and create a world where women of all ages feel empowered to embrace their sexuality with confidence and joy. Remember, you are beautiful, you are worthy, and you are deserving of pleasure and intimacy at every age.